Hello everyone and welcome to Little Britain the video game. Little Britain is a sketch comedy series that aired for 3 series in not America. And it got a video game.
Welcome on board. Our first stop is Darkly Noon for a visit to teenage mum Vicky Pollard. It's a school day, so Vicky has taken herself off to the park. Parks are very popular in Britain, with over 5 parks per person. Skate Vicky through the park and collect as many CDs as you can. Vicky's having a party and she needs CDs to decorate her wondrous flat. Do tricks for extra points, but not if you don't want to. Skate hard and keep it real.
Is a famous British personality, says we should only do tricks if we want to, but we do want to, because you need a certain amount of points to finish a level and progress. The way the main game mode works is we go from character to character, location to location by getting enough points, and we need 50k points per level in order to progress. So the way this level with Vicky works is it's sort of like an endless runner, but you can perform tricks when the bar is green and also full. You fill up the bar by grabbing CDs, and when the bar turns green, you put in a button combination to do tricks and get even more points. The reason I say this is like an endless runner is because it has lanes, and you do well to keep that in mind. You hold down X to go, you press circle to jump, and if you need more control over yourself, you can let go of X for a bit for better turning. It's not really turning, you're just switching lanes, because as I said, it is lane focused. There's a slight delay when Vicky jumps, like you press circle and then she jumps about a half a second after, so it's not instantaneous, but it's not nearly as bad as people would make it out to be. Like, the delay on the jump is very deliberate and easy to get used to. So the thing about licensed games is that one would assume if you buy and play a licensed game that you're familiar with the license. Usually it's the opposite for me, and I learn about a license through its game. Little Britain was no different. I did not know anything about Little Britain before playing Little Britain the video game. And I have not spontaneously become an expert on Little Britain after playing it, but the video game did come with clips in it. Little sketches from, the show. So I have some idea of what the show might have been like, though I don't know how much it changed from series to series. I do know that the character we're playing as right now, Vicky, is a teenage mom, and she seems, I don't know if illiterate is exactly the right word, but she has issues with various academic subjects and talks different, which I guess is supposed to be funny. Based on the sketches that this game provided of Vicky, I'm really not quite sure what about her character is supposed to be humorous, but I assume there's something. I did gather that the idea of the show at large is meant to be sort of a pseudo-documentary on Britain, hence Little Britain. It's about the various stereotypes and caricatures you might meet of people in Britain. Like, I gathered that much, and it's a clever title for the concept, but I haven't seen enough of it to say whether it delivers on that. Most of the sketches also seem to focus on unfortunate people in their circumstances, but that could have just been cherry picking. Like, maybe I just happened to see in this game all the sketches about unfortunate people and none of the sketches about rich or successful people and why rich or successful people are funny. But yeah, the sketches I've seen so far seem to mostly be about why sad people are funny. And I mean, sad people can be funny. I'm not, sure what kind of humor Little Britain is going for. Maybe it's supposed to be kind of a dark comedy. It's really hard to tell. I can tell you, based on what very, very little I know, based on the clips provided in this video game, that it does not seem like Vicky would be a character that knew how to roller skate. Seems like she wouldn't know how to do that. But I'm not really up to date on the lore of Little Britain, Series 1 through 3, and its apparent spin-off that I don't know anything about either. I get it. We're 5 minutes into the video, you still don't understand why I'm playing this. Well, I'm playing it because it looked weird, alright? It looked really weird. Because, like, I didn't know what it was. Was it a sitcom video game or something? Is it about trivia? Is it like a Sims situation? But no, it's a series of mini-games. Series of 8 mini-games with a character from their various skits. Or sketches, whatever they're called. This game also has the distinction of being the lowest rated PSP game on GameFAQs.com. The lowest rated, period. I don't know if that's fair, because I haven't played that many PSP games. I like the PSP, but I don't really know if there are any super bad games on it. I mean, maybe this is better than Hero of Sparta. I'd have to think about that for a while. Also, doing some research on this game, it seems most people played the PS2 version, which I guess that's fine. They seem identical, except for a few changes in some of the minigames, and the fact that the PSP version has an extra minigame, which isn't in the PS2 version. I don't know why that is, but yeah, the PSP version has an additional 8th minigame that is missing in the PS2 version. In addition to some slight changes in the control scheme and some small bug fixes, it seems like. I don't know, I mean, with the negative reception this game got, I guess it's admirable that they fixed bugs and changed some things that people disliked, but I feel like it was probably too late at that point. I don't think, even if this game were amazing, that anyone would like it. Like, I don't think it really matters what the content of the game was. I feel like when you made a video game based on a sketch comedy series, you were doomed for people to not want anything to do with it. But yeah, Vicky stutters a lot when she talks, because sometimes people fill empty air with, you know, words when they're trying to think. And Vicky does that. And that's supposed to be funny, I think.
By Geraldine, you've done it! And as a reward for skill and courage under fire, we'd like to offer you the precious gift of a bus ride to Herbie. But first, before we leave, let's see what happens when Vicky goes to her local doctor's surgery. Our next stop is here in southeast Northwestshire and the little town of Herbie. Here it is late evening, and Lou is taking his friend Andy for a swim. Swimming pools in Britain have very strict rules. No bombing, no petting, no ducking, and no fondue parties. Andy likes to work up an appetite between packets of crisps. Whilst Lou is busy talking to the pool attendant, get Andy to do as many madcap dives as you can. The bigger the splash, the more points you get. Now is your time to shine.
3, 2, I want to get in.
So we're controlling Andy, and the idea is that we're supposed to do as many huge tricks and make as many big splashes as possible before time runs out. And our handler, who is also Andy's best friend, catches us outside of the wheelchair. This is based on, apparently, the most famous skit in Little Britain. One that won Little Britain an award, or maybe the actors won an award, I'm not sure. But the idea behind Andy, the wheelchair-bound man, who's not really wheelchair-bound, that we're controlling right now, is that he, you know, pretends he needs a wheelchair, but he doesn't. And if that was all of his character, that would kind of suck. But Andy seems to have various other issues, like maybe he doesn't need a wheelchair, but he seems to be legitimately mentally disturbed. Like, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but he does exhibit many traits of various mental illnesses, and is kind of a disturbed and demented person. So, like, he probably does need someone to look out for him, just not in the way that his friend Lou is doing it. And Andy's character interested me a little more than the rest, so I looked up more about him, and I legitimately cannot tell whether his disturbing mental issues are intentional or not. Like, is Andy actually meant to be mentally ill? Or is he just supposed to be, like, a huge asshole? Which is it? because I find it incredibly unlikely he doesn't have some kind of mental disturbance with the way he behaves. I'm not saying it's impossible, it just seems very unlikely. Either way, this is my favorite of the minigames. It's easily the most functional. I like that you can choose from a variety of diving boards, which are varying heights, you know. I like that there are a lot of tricks to do. I like that you can spin in the air.
I wanted to jump off the top one.
It's just a pretty average minigame, I guess. I like that you have to rush back to the chair before time runs out. It's functional. It's alright. It's a fun minigame.
Relatively capable friend. Have you showered?
This is boring. Wanna go home?
I thought you said you liked diving.
Yeah, no.
Hoopla, hoopla! Oh, Mama, your potatoes are so sweet! You are so splendid, we would love for you to continue our tour of world-famous Britain. But before we go, let's bid Lou and Andy goodbye by seeing what they're up to now. In Sussex, Fat Fighters course leader Marjorie Dawes has popped into her local supermarket to pick up a few sundries, and mundries, and Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Marjorie is having a craving. Here you must guide Marjorie around this very supermarket and eat all the biscuits, but avoid those fatties, unless you've eaten a piece of cake, in which case, go get 'em, Buster.
So my interest in this character, what's her name? Marjorie? Margie? My interest in this character is non-existent. And that is only helped by the fact that she doesn't get a skit clip in this video game. So I don't know what she's like at all, and I'm not interested in a character that runs some sort of fat people help group and calls other people fat and insults them or whatever. I don't get her gimmick, and I don't really care. But I do think this is a perfectly acceptable Pac-Man clone. I've seen a lot of other people struggle with this Pac-Man clone, and that's weird to me, because the AI's behavior is very simple and easy to predict, and it's not that hard to get through the entire thing without getting caught once. I mean, yeah, you can't see the entire screen, but if you have a sense of object permanence, you can tell where things were, and memorize the very simple geometry and level layout. And yes, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, you chose easy. Of course it's easy for you. The difficulty actually only decides how many levels you have to do. So, for example, if we chose medium, we'd have to do 2 levels of this. If we chose hard, we'd have to do 3. I chose easy because I only wanted to do 1 level of this. Sadly, this is the last of the minigames I actually think are good or enjoy to any degree. Like, the first 3 kind of give the impression that this is a perfectly acceptable minigame collection. Like, not outstanding, but the first one was an alright runner type game. The second one, I haven't seen anything quite like that in a minigame collection before. And the third one, you know, it's an okay Pac-Man clone. But then, after this, it just kind of goes downhill. I was looking forward to playing, you know, this game, the lowest rated PSP game on GameFAQs.com, and going, oh, this game is actually alright. Because I like that. I like being able to be contrarian and tell people that bad games are actually okay to good. And the first 3 minigames are okay. I wouldn't recommend them over any other minigames I can think of. The second one's kind of creative, but then the game just kind of gets bad and not interesting, and it's no fun anymore. That being said, some of the characters in the later minigames are really fun to psychoanalyze, and it's also fun to psychoanalyze the writers to wonder maybe what the hell they were thinking, and whether there's any method to the madness, or if it's just all madness all the time. Non-stop, full frontal madness. See, this isn't nearly as hard as people make it out to be. This minigame, I mean. But that assumes that you've seen someone play this video game before, and that's a lot to assume.
Congratulations! You've just won the Fat Fighters Challenge. Still a fatty though.
Success never tasted so sweet, isn't it delicious? I also like Triumph as a dessert. A fine specimen like you deserves a trip to Slut. But first, while the driver blows air into the tires, let's go back to Herbie and see Lou and Andy again.